And one last thing was that I read you say you typically move your hands a lot and touch your face a lot.
I do.
Why would Precious not do that?
Because she's not me.
Okay, fair enough.
Just because she's not me. Like a lot of people don't do it just because she's a different person. And I tend to do a lot of this, and I touch, and I get nervous. Like it's not a nervous energy. It's just what I do. My friends think I'm like a cat.
Right.
And I do this weird thing when I get excited. I do this, and I have no idea why. But I do it. But she's not excitable.
Well, and that kind of relates to another thing that I read, which is that you were studying psychology, and you felt a pretty good understanding of how a victimized person might behave and how they might not behave. How did that tie in?
Yeah, I'd read a lot about the anatomy of a victim, and I figured that Precious feels ugly because there's a shame that goes along with being sexually abused, and you feel ugly, and you not only do you feel ugly, you want to make yourself ugly, and you want to be invisible. And so I took my knowledge of that and transferred it to her, and every time she sits in a room, whenever she walks into a room, she looks down and she doesn't look at anyone because she doesn't want to be seen, and she sits and she becomes a rock because she doesn't want.
Yeah. I heard that one thing you actually suggested to McDaniels, which was bold but smart in the end, was that, well, you made a suggestion about how she might be different than he had thought she would be. Can you share what that was?
I think it was, I don't remember what, like he said something and I don't remember what he what he's talking about. But I know certainly during the whole building her wardrobe, I think he thought that she was poor, and she'd probably just wear sweatpants and like an ugly flannel shirts and stuff like that, and she wouldn't try to look presentable. And I was like, well, why wouldn't she try to look presentable? Why not? I mean, I grew up in the same neighborhood, and well, I guess we have the same body and same face, and I do try. And I certainly didn't grow up rich, and I made sure that I at least looked presentable. And so I didn't understand why she wouldn't, and he changed his mind, and a lot of the clothes were mine. At least of the idea of the clothes. Because like when I auditioned, I wore like a hoodie and a headband and a shirt with monkeys on it, just so I could look like 16. I didn't usually dress like that, but he took that and added it to the wardrobe.
Interesting. Needless to say, there are a lot of tough sequences in the film. What did you and primarily Monique, but whoever you were working with in those scenes, do in between cut and action again to just come down from that? Because what was it like in between those scenes?
Well, in cut, we would during action, of course, it'd be like dodging skillets and things like that. But as soon as Mr. Daniels said cut, we would hug each other. We would laugh. Paul and I would have kung fu dance parties, which is what we'd call it, kung fu dance parties. We did anything we could, and I'm not sure if we were consciously doing it, but we certainly did it in order to liven the mood.
Yeah, probably, like, people say method actors, do you take it home or whatever? I can't imagine taking this home.
I really don't take it past the tea and cut. But I don't know any better. Right. And I've never been to class or anything like that, so I don't have a method, and I don't see why I should carry the character any longer than I have to.
Well, but what you just said invites the question: how does somebody who's never acted, forget in a movie really, but like you said, limited even in theater or other things, how do you come on and do such a competent, confident job like you did in this? Is it just a God-given thing, or how do you explain it?
I think a lot of it is, it's instincts, and I think it might be God, because I didn't even know where I was going when I left my house. I had no idea whether I'd be going to school or the audition, and I ended up on the audition side of the street, and I very well could not have, I just think that I ran away from the idea of being an entertainer my whole life, and I ended up here anyway. I think whatever pulled me to this part, and whatever was pulled out of me during filming is stronger than I can explain. and stronger than I can see.
In your, this is going to sound weird for people who don't know what I'm talking about until you answer, but in your dreams during the shooting of Precious, what was going on? I've read that you had some strange experiences.
Yeah, I would dream that they were filming my sleep. It was being directed and filmed. And I swear, clear as day, I could see them. Whenever they said cut, for a second, I would honestly, like, open my eyes for, like, you know, when you, like, wait up for a minute and you turn over? I would see them in the room and I'd turn over and they'd say action and I'd go right back to sleep.
And this was recurring, right?
Every freaking night. It was like, but at the same time, I didn't feel like I was sleeping. It felt like I was working. And when they said, that's a wrap, I would wake up. It would be right when the alarm went off.
That's amazing.
Annoying, maybe.
Well, speaking of dream sequences, who is Barrett Isaiah Mindell?
He plays the fantasy boyfriend.
And you guys actually bonded. I gather he was one of your closer friends on the set? Mm-hmm. Okay. I just was curious because I read that he was, you know, somebody mentioned that you guys were close.
Yeah, there's a rumor that we're dating.
No, I wasn't going there, but yeah.
Promise we are not.
Right. No, I just was curious. On a more serious note, what do you, I know this is open to interpretation, but I'm curious what you think happens to Precious after the end credits. What happens to this person who we've spent so much time getting to really feel for and you know, be curious about?
I think she never, ever, ever sees Mary again. And I think that she walks off into the sunset and she takes care of her children and she goes to college and she builds a life around her children and around her own happiness.
Glad to hear that.
I'm pretty optimistic.
Yeah, no, well, that sounds good to me. I can't avoid bringing up the one sort of tough question, particularly, which is that the films provoke a little controversy, especially within the black community, where some people feel that it might be mistaken as a representative example of what it's like in inner city black community, you know, households or something. How do you respond to that when people raise the controversy or whatever?
Well, this film, before it was a film, the novel was put on as a play in the West End in London, and the whole cast was white. And the story was the same, absolutely the same. The cast was white, and that wasn't a representative of the white community at all. I think those who harbor on the fact that it's about a black girl and it's about black people have missed the point. It's about people. It happens to star black people, but the movie is as much about you as it is about me, and it's got nothing to do with color. And so many times, so many different people have approached me and told me that this is their life, and hardly is it a black person. It's usually a white person. It's Asian, it's Indians, Hispanic people. I think that those people who think it's just about black people have missed the point.
Yeah. Well, that's actually what Paula said when I spoke with her. She said at a screening during Sundance, a separate screening, you guys had a really neat question, I guess, from the audience. Is that true?
Yeah, I think, well, there were a few. There's this one woman who, there was a man who was something like 75 or something like that. And he said that he's been going to this festival for years. And this is the first time that he's been able to see himself on screen. He said that he was precious.
Wow.
He's pretty, and he was pretty white. I mean, we were in Utah. So.
That is pretty white. That's fair to say. How has your life changed since that Sundance experience where it was finally revealed? I know there had been some question about whether this movie would ever be seen, but now it gets seen and people start embracing it, and for the last, it's now been over a year because we've just had another Sundance.
Yeah.
What's changed in your life?
Pretty much everything. I'm much more busy than I've ever been my whole life. I don't know, I think I'm more relaxed, but at the same time I'm much more stressed out over what happens. I tend to go to more parties, and I tend to not be able to just go to the mall or grocery shopping anymore.
I bet.
But I feel like It's made me a stronger person.